expanded playoff, realignment. We got the new SEC next year. Just broadly, are you in for this whole new realignment stuff? I'm kind of like a college football traditionalist, so I kind of went this way kicking and screaming. How did you feel about this whole realignment stuff and seeing the new schedule?
Hell, give me Chip Kelly's idea. I mean, I love what Chip Kelly came out the other day. And I was kind of kicking the stones around with a buddy of mine, talking about, I've been very fascinated with the European soccer model of relegation, and how fun would it be if instead of like 64 teams, you had essentially 3 team leagues, and obviously like the Premier League, the Champions League, and the league before that. And you kind of played within that league, and you played a schedule, and 12 teams made the playoff from each of those 40 team leagues, and you can work your way in and out of those leagues, kind of all that. To me, it'd be fun. It also saved yourself from essentially kind of what we're seeing with Vanderbilt right now. Like Vanderbilt in today's game in the SEC, it's hard for me to find success for Vanderbilt. Like, why should Vanderbilt be playing an SEC schedule? We're seeing it right now. Like, their best players get taken from them every single year. You go to Vanderbilt, you get developed for a season, and then you go to Georgia, you go to Alabama, you go to LSU. I mean, like, it's going to happen over and over and over again. Like, that's not fair to Vanderbilt. It's not fair to some of these smaller schools. Like, why are we putting them in a situation to essentially be a 3-win team? The fans don't want to watch it. They don't show up to the games. And everyone kind of just looks at it as like, hey, we're just going to cherry pick from you every offseason. Like, put them in actually a division so they can have success. So the fans actually want to go to games because they know that their team has a more of a legitimate chance to win football. So, like, I would love to just blow it all up, make it a little bit more fair, have a little bit more fun. It'd be more competitive games every single weekend because you got teams kind of within their own silos that are meant to be playing each other instead of Georgia's and Alabama's just beating up on like Vanderbilt's and Mississippi State's of the world. So that's the model I'm for. But when it comes to just improvement overall, I'll take next year. I mean, when you look at the schedule, it's hard not to be excited about what the Big Ten is going to look like, about what the SEC is going to look like. As a consumer, we're going to get better games more often every single weekend.
No, without question. I mean, I think you're on the money. Like, the week in and week out product we'll get on TV, like, has me absolutely fired up. Because like I said, at first I was kind of like, man, I really loved the college football that I grew up with the BCS. Mm-hmm. And then we had, some realignment. I'm like, okay, that's all right. And then we have the playoff expanding again. I'm not super excited about that. But then you see, okay, we got Georgia going to Texas. And I'm like, all right, twist my arm. Yeah, sure. I'm in for Georgia at Texas. Or we got Georgia Bama in September. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be freaking awesome.
Is that where the program's gonna be heading next year?
I hope so.
Little Austin trip.
Fingers crossed. We're trying to make sure we have all the funds in order to get on the road and get out there. But man, that would be phenomenal. We're saving the hard count piggy bank, that's for sure. Hope so, man. Are you getting on the road to some of those games? Which games catch your eye from that schedule to start?
I mean, hell, if ESPN wants to put me on that game, I'll be more than glad to go out there and call that one. So, I mean, the big one is what is it, Texas, Michigan? I mean, we may see a rematch of the national championship game in week 2. Like, that's probably the top game. I mean, A&M versus Notre Dame's another one that kind of jumped off the page to me. That's 2 massive programs playing in that first week. That's going to be a fun one. LSU, USC. I mean, it's every single week. I mean, the only really – because we've had like 3 down weeks in the SEC this year where you kind of look at the slate like, not great. You look at next year's slate, really it's week 2. Like, week 2 is kind of like a downer week. The rest of the weeks are great. But then you scroll down to the bottom, and that is the week that Texas plays Michigan. So, like, you know what, for a crappy week, weekend of SEC football, I guess we'll just conclude it with a 7:30 ABC Texas versus Michigan game to kind of cheer us all up. So, like, even the down week has one of probably maybe the best game or one of the best games of the college football season next year. So I think it's great for the game. I think it's great for the fans. I'm just interested to see like 2026 and beyond of what major changes that are going to be had. Because I do think that, and I'm not trying to be a downer on college football. Like, I think we're in a good spot. I just think that there's a lot of untapped potential still there to make this game even better going forward in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% on the money. Like, it's all champagne problems to a degree, but maybe there's still some things we can tinker with and kind of settle on it. And once we do settle, and once we have like fall Saturdays looking how they're going to look for, the foreseeable future, then I think we can all kind of get a little bit more excited about what that looks like going forward. Aaron, last question for you, man. Texas and OU, they're joining your conference next year in the SEC. You played in the conference. By nature of what you saw this past year from Texas and OU, how do you feel about them moving forward?
I love Texas. I mean, I think Texas is more than ready. Obviously, I think to me they're my favorite to win the national championship. I have them winning it this season. So I think if Ewers back and the way that Sark's been able to recruit and bring in top tier talent, I think they'll be kind of right there with Georgia, Alabama. You may throw LSU into the equation of teams that should be on everyone's list to win the SEC and be right back there in the playoffs come next season. So I think Texas more than ready. I think Oklahoma, if they had Dylan Gabriel coming back, I would say that next year they would be more prepared. But that's the fine line you have to balance nowadays. If you have a top guy in Arnold behind him, that he may be the best guy for the future. Is he ready for maybe 2024, first year in the SEC? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But come 2025 and beyond, he's probably the right guy. So does Oklahoma maybe take a step back from where they were this year? I would say, yeah, maybe 8-win team, 9-win team. Still, I would say a successful first season in the SEC. But I think they're banking on getting him that first year in the SEC, getting him that year of experience. And then our year is more, 2 years from now of when maybe we kind of start to feel like we truly belong in the SEC. So they're kind of they're just a little bit below. They also have the tougher schedule of the two teams. But I think at Texas right now, you throw them in there, SEC next year, they're ready to go.
It'll be fun to watch, man.
Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.